Well, hello, Canadian Campaholic here, coming to you on a very windy Victoria Day holiday weekend. I hope if you're out camping this weekend that you're having a fabulous time. You know, for a lot of people, this is the beginning of the camping season. Of course, for us as diehard campers, we've been at it since April, and we actually don't camp on holiday weekends. We find it's a little too crazy, so we usually sit these out. As we've got some downtime, I thought in this particular video, we would do a follow-up video on our 2018 Salem Cruise Lite 197BH. We've owned the travel trailer now for almost 2 years. It'll be 2 years in September of this year. And I thought I'd go through an update on how things have been with the trailer. We've had it out in excess of 20 times, anything from 2-night weekend trips to 3 to 4-night weekday trips. So it's certainly had a lot of use. It's been towed all over southwestern Ontario. And so in this particular video, we're going to break it down by a few categories here that I've written down. So we're going to talk about the things we love. What are the elements of the trailer that are absolutely fantastic, that work well for our family? Minor irritations. What are some things about the trailer that, you know, don't make us regret buying it, but they're a little bit of a problem and annoying? Deal breakers. Is there anything on this that absolutely makes us regret our purchase decision? Breakages and failures. There's also a video within my channel that talks about our first ever failure or breakage with this trailer. Then we'll answer the question, if we could do things all over again, if we had a time machine and we could go back a couple of years ago, would we still buy this trailer? And then lastly, we'll summarize with things that we would like for the future. If we were ever to be in the market for a new travel trailer, what would that look like? Those of you that have followed my channel for a number of years know that we were originally tent campers, then we had a pop-up camper, and then we moved to a travel trailer. So we have some unique insights. So let's head inside where it's less windy and let's chat about this stuff. It's a simple feature, but something that we really love about this trailer, let me see if I can switch them on, you may not be able to see them, is the outdoor LED light strip. That runs across the side of the trailer underneath the awning, and the colored lights change through a whole wide variety of colors, and you can switch it to whatever color you want. You can switch it to be white light, just color. You can change the intensity of the white, the intensity of the color. But we love this. It floods the campsite with light. It is really pretty to look at, and you don't have to have any outside lighting or anything like that. So this is a small little subtle thing that came with the trailer, but we really, really enjoy it. Great feature. Something else that is a huge plus to this trailer, considering it is a pretty small trailer, is the kitchen. This countertop is actually pretty enormous. I mean, I haven't measured it, but you can fit a 19-inch television, a kettle, and a coffee maker, and still have some space on here. So to have this much open surface countertop in a small trailer like this is absolutely phenomenal. We're also very happy with the sink. It is kind of a heavy-duty plastic, and it's a little bit scratched, but the actual size and depth of it's deceiving. It doesn't look huge, but washing dishes in it, plates, pans, that sort of thing, fits perfectly well. You get a really good depth with it, and because you've got the high-rise faucet, that gives you a lot of room as well. So that element of the kitchen is great. 2-burner gas cooktop, or gas hob, as my UK friends rather would call it. This isn't too bad. We don't really use it a lot. We're always concerned about making the inside of the trailer stink of cooking, so we might reheat some beans or warm through some tomatoes for an English breakfast. But in a real emergency, I mean, if it was pouring with rain and freezing cold, we might cook in here. But again, it doesn't look like a lot, but it's perfectly practical. Microwave, absolutely phenomenal microwave, works really well. A little dirty right now, but runs on 15 amp without blowing fuses or melting cords. Very handy to warm something up in a hurry if you need to, so we're very pleased with that. The fridge, while we're on the subject of the kitchen, also works well. It's a typical absorption fridge. It takes a while to cool down. It has a freezer compartment in it. This is a Dometic fridge. The only thing I will say is that in cooler conditions, because it's automatic and you can't adjust it, it tends to run a little bit too cold, and it actually has made some of the milk almost turn to ice. So if anybody has any recommendations of how to prevent that, I've heard some people say that you can partially block the vents outside to help keep the fridge warmer. I don't know how safe that is, but in general camping conditions, this fridge freezer combination has been absolutely fantastic. Keeping in the kitchen, cupboard space in this trailer is absolutely fantastic. You've got these two massive cupboards above the kitchen here. They've got the beautiful glass fronts, which in my first intro video to the trailer I commented that I really like this. It breaks up the wood, you get a little bit of reflection, gives you a little bit of an illusion of space. You've got cupboards over by the bathroom door, you've got cupboards underneath as well as a drawer, and then you've also got big cupboards on the other side of the trailer too. So storage in this trailer in general is absolutely fantastic, especially when you consider that you've got storage under the booth dinette, you've got it under the bed as well, so lots of places to put things in this particular trailer. Other things that we really like about the trailer is the entertainment system. This is your radio DVD player, works off of Bluetooth. You can plug in USBs, SD cards, and it sends sound to the two internal speakers, which are fantastic speakers. They're incredibly loud. Or you can set it to run off of the two marine grade outside speakers, which we haven't really used. I don't want to bother other campers with my music or videos, but this is great because you can pop a DVD in here. You can set a TV on the counter here and plug in your RCA connections, and it will play the video to the television, and then of course you beam the sound out through the speakers in the ceiling. It'll also work on a tablet. If you have a tablet and the kids are watching a tablet and it's really, really windy and rainy outside, you can switch to Bluetooth and play the audio from the tablet again through the inside or outside speakers. You can also, if you're outside by the campfire having a beverage and you want to play the radio outside, you can do it. Or you can connect your smartphone or other devices that have music loaded on them to the stereo system, and you can play those tunes inside or outside. So these are fairly standard on modern travel trailers, but in this particular case, we love this. Great addition. Another big plus for us in this trailer, of course, is the bunkhouse portion of the trailer. In particular, I love the fact that this wall piece here is cut out. So here on the top bunk, there's usually a wall, so this backboard here would usually continue right up to the ceiling. It makes it a little claustrophobic for the person in the top bunk. It also means that they've sometimes got a pretty narrow opening to climb in and out of the bunk. So for my son, who's 9 years old and nearly as tall as Dad, he likes to have that space to get up there. He's also got a nice big window back there, which is great as well. My daughter sleeps on the bottom bunk. There is no window, but there is a light down there. She's okay with it. It's her cozy little bedroom, and she loves it. So the bunks are great. The only thing that is a concern about them is I don't know what the weight rating is. There's no stickers. My guess would be probably 200 pounds maximum. Continuing on the theme of things that we love about this trailer, one of the big pluses of this trailer is the size. This trailer is 22 feet long from the coupler to the back end of the trailer, and really 22 feet in terms of travel trailer size is fairly small. You can certainly go smaller than this, but we find this is a really great compromise. I guess the actual living quarters is about 19 feet, but really for us with two kids, age 7 and 9, and 2 adults, and even when my mother has come as well, it doesn't feel too cramped. It's certainly not spacious, but with someone who's new to towing travel trailers, this is a fantastic size trailer. It's not incredibly wide. It's not too difficult to maneuver. The height is a little bit of a challenge. This trailer is 10 feet tall, so that does mean you've got a fair amount of wind drag, but overall, yes, I would say that a thing that we love about it is definitely the fact that it's a smaller size trailer. You can fit it into a lot more campsites. Backing it into campsites is quite a bit easier despite the single axle, so I think that's a big plus. Power tongue jack, absolutely fantastic piece of equipment. Absolutely love this. It does have a manual override in case you don't have battery power, but this is way better than standing there spinning a crank up and down. It's not incredibly quick, but you know what? It doesn't need to be. It's very strong. It's got the strength to lift the nose of the trailer and the ass of the vehicle up so that it's easier to put your spring bars on for the weight distribution hitch. But yes, power tongue jack with a built-in light. Absolutely fantastic piece of kit. Something about the trailer that has really come in handy for my wife, who again is 6 feet tall, is the ceiling. I don't know how exactly high this ceiling is, but it's got to be, oh God, close to 6'4", 6'5". It's pretty darn tall. It does make the overall trailer height about 10 feet, but it's well worth it inside. She's got plenty of headroom, plenty of clearance. So it does not feel claustrophobic. Although it's not a very wide trailer, although it's only 22 feet long, you certainly don't feel that it's claustrophobic in here because you've got ample headroom. This trailer features a bow floor, B-E-A-U floor. It is linoleum floor designed to look like wood planking. It is mildew resistant, stain resistant, cold crack resistant. And it is great. They basically laid this down throughout the entire trailer before they built the rest of it. So it goes underneath the bed, it's underneath all the cupboards, it's underneath the bunks. It is great because as it's linoleum, it's waterproof. So if anything gets spilled on it, it's not going to soak into the floor. It is very easy to keep clean. It looks fantastic. And sweeping out the trailer is nice and easy. So even with our 2 messy kids and all the camping that we do, having this bow floor, linoleum floor is great. And it comes in a lot of different styles. Some of the new 2019 and 2020 model trailers are featuring bow floor that looks more like tiles, but we don't mind the wood grain. It's great. Something else I really like about this trailer are the windows. I love the fact that there's a decent amount of windows in the trailer. You've got the one by the bed there, you've got this large one by the dinette, and then there's one up above the bunk. They let a lot of natural light in here. On the other side of the trailer, of course, you've got the door and a tiny window in the kitchen, but that's necessary if you're going to have all of these cupboards and all of this kitchen equipment. But the thing about these windows as well is you have a little bracket underneath that pivots out, and then you can push the window out. And the windows are tinted. They've got a nice tint, which cuts down on the sunlight and the heat. But the fact that they prop out like that means that in most conditions, even if there's rain, you can just leave them open. Obviously, if it was blowing like crazy sideways, you might not want to leave the window open. But if it's a regular camping trip and there's a little bit of drizzle or a light rain, having the window tilted out like that means you don't get any water coming inside. And you can keep the ventilation going for the trailer. So the windows are all designed like this with the exception of the sliding window in the kitchen. But honestly, I think this is a great part of this trailer that we really like. Something else that we love about this trailer is the hot water supply. It has a direct spark ignition gas water heater. And I want to say it's a 6 gallon. I don't think it's 8. But it works very well. We've had no issues with it. Takes a good 10 minutes or so if it's really cold to get you hot water, but my God, is it ever hot water. And you get a lot of use out of it. I mean, this sink's fairly small. So for washing your hands after using the bathroom, for washing dishes, anything like that where you need piping hot water, it is fantastic. Works very well and is awesome. Something else that we really love about this trailer is the bathroom. Going from a tent to a pop-up to this, having a bathroom, let's get some light in here, was an absolute amazing plus. We do a lot of early season and late season camping where it's really cold at night. And the fact that if you need to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, especially for my wife and daughter, that they can just come back here and use this private indoor toilet is absolutely fantastic. Yes, it does come with the added responsibility of having to work with a black tank and dumping it and maintaining it, but honestly, it is 100% worth it. I have no regrets whatsoever about having a travel trailer with a bathroom. This toilet is great. Works really well. The shower, it's full of junk right now, but the shower actually works surprisingly well. And even though it's got this vinyl Luan board backing, we've had no issues with mold or mildew. We bought a squeegee, and if we ever use the shower, we squeegee it down. We don't use the shower a lot because although the trailer has an onboard 40-gallon fresh water tank, the gray tank is only 20. And if you do a lot of dishes and then start using the shower, you can fill that capacity very quickly. So we really haven't used the shower much. We're going camping soon to an RV park that has full hookups. So I'm pretty excited to see how nice it is to use the shower when you have a greater water supply. You're also limited by the hot water heater in its capacity, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. Another thing that we love about the trailer is the power awning. You know, the power awning is an absolute blessing. On our pop-up camper, we had a bag awning where you had to unzip the bag and mess around with all that. It was a giant pain in the ass. But with this sucker, you just come inside the trailer, push a button. I'm not going to take it out all the way because it's windy, but out she goes. If it gets windy, you got to bring it in. No problem. Push a button, bring it in. I realize that's out of focus. But the point is, it is so easy to use. The other thing that I love about the awning, which I can't really demonstrate today, is that when it's fully extended, the arms, as they stretch out, have a pivot in them, and you can just pull down with one arm, and it actually leans the entire awning on a slope, so the water drains off. So the power awning is absolutely fantastic. It is a little flimsy, I will say. It's not the strongest awning, so if you do get anything more than a strong breeze, you probably want to bring it in. And as much as the pop-up awning in a bag, it was a Carefree of Colorado awning, as much as it was difficult to set up, it was just a little bit more sturdy. One thing that does annoy us a little bit is there are very few power outlets inside the trailer. We've got one here in the kitchen. They are GFCI protected, which I guess is that's a good thing. But there's one in the kitchen. We put a little power tap in there to give us a couple of extra outlets. There's one beside the queen size bed. We've got a little side table there. And then there is one more underneath the dinette. Little awkward because if this thing is broken down into a bed, it's almost impossible to get at that outlet. There's no outlets for the kids' beds at all. I definitely find that frustrating because if the kids are using a device of some sort, they have no way to plug it in and charge it over there. So again, yes, it's camping. It's not all about the tech, and that's why I'm saying this is a minor irritation, but having one or two more outlets in the trailer, I think would be a big plus. I guess I'm being a little picky here, but the booth dinette is a little bit of a minor irritation for a couple of reasons. First of all, it is a little on the small side. It really only is super comfortable for two adults to sit at. If you've got two adults and two kids, again, my kids are 7 and 9, it does become a little cozy, shall we say. The other issue I have with it is that constantly when you're sitting on it, the bottom cushion starts to slide forward and you got to keep repositioning the cushions, but that's minor. In terms of a bed, it's actually pretty comfortable. If you break this down into a bed, I've slept on it a couple of times, and it's a little short for me, but it's actually surprisingly comfortable. But obviously, when you have a trailer like this that doesn't have a slide out, you're limited in how big you can make the booth dinette, but I honestly think with the gap that you have here, you could probably have made this just a couple of inches wider and still allowed enough clearance to walk through the middle of the trailer. I think that would have made a big difference. Something that works okay, minor irritation, I guess, is this king jack. It's one of the shark fin looking antennas. It looks like the head of a hammerhead shark. But you basically turn this sucker around to acquire a signal, and then it will actually give you a digital cable signal through the jack here. The problem is you need to be in an area with really great cell or radio reception for this thing to work. Also, this one is pretty basic. It doesn't have the light indicator in the punch out here. So trying to get a signal is really guesswork. You adjust this using the knob here. to roughly what you think is the right setting, and then on your television you make the television search for channels. I think at most we've got 3 or 4 channels off of this, and it really doesn't work that well. Not a big deal for us. We don't spend a lot of time in the trailer. We certainly don't spend a lot of time watching TV. But if you are a big TV junkie, yeah, I don't know if this would be great. The trailer does have a cable connection outside, so if you're at a campsite where it has a full cable TV hookup, that's fine. That'll obviously work better than the antenna. Small little irritation, which isn't really necessarily about the trailer itself, but something that I am going to invest in, is of course a max air vent cover. You know, having roof vents like this one are essential to keep moisture out of the trailer as much as possible. It also helps keep the trailer nice and cool. But if it rains while you're away and you have this sucker open, that's bad news. So anytime we leave the trailer for any extended period, or anytime we feel there's a chance of rain, we got to close this sucker down. So I really feel that having some max air vent covers or an equivalent product is an absolute must, and I'm going to seriously look into that this year, because again, it is frustrating when we're leaving the trailer to not only make sure the lights are all switched off, but also to run around making sure the vent covers are closed. We had a vent cover on the pop-up, and it was great. Something that is great about the trailer, but is also on the flip side a minor irritation, is the light setup. This trailer is full of LED lights, and there's a light here over the bed. There's one above the dinette. There's one in the middle here. There's one under the counter. There's one back towards the bathroom. There's one above the top bunk. There's one above the lower bunk, and then of course one in the bathroom. Great that they're LED, great that they use very little power off a battery, but the one thing that frustrates me is you've got 2 light switches up here. You've got one for the outside LED light, then you've got one for the interior light, and when you flip it on and off, it only affects that one light. I really wish that you could configure it to affect more lights, because sometimes when you're coming and going from the trailer, if you're going out to go hiking or fishing or whatever, and your family has left all the lights on, a lot of them, if I flip the main switch here, well, it only changes that light. So now I got to walk around and make sure that every single flipping light in this trailer is off, which if you're in a hurry and not careful, especially if you're putting the trailer away for storage, you could accidentally leave one on and drain the battery. So that is I'm being really nitpicky here. That's a minor little irritation. I just want to quickly get back to the furnace for a second. You know, we mentioned that this was the only actual breakage or failure, but it's also something that crosses a lot of territory. It's something that we love in the sense that it's very powerful, kicks out a tremendous amount of heat, and on a cold, cold day, it can bring this trailer up to a balmy 70 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit, literally in a matter of a minute. So that is fantastic. My wife doesn't like being cold, so that's a good thing. But the minor irritation with it is, oh my God, is it ever loud? I mean, when that squirrel cage fan thing kicks in, it is really loud. And I'm a light sleeper, so what we typically do is we use a electric space heater, a little ceramic space heater, to do most of the heating. We plug it in underneath the dinette here and place it on the floor, and then it radiates heat out to heat the bulk of the trailer. And then we set the thermostat just a few degrees below what we've set the ceramic heater at. And the idea is if the temperature really drops and the ceramic heater is struggling to keep the trailer warm, then yes, in those circumstances, the propane furnace will kick in and run. It also sometimes makes this cover plate on the stove rattle a little bit, so we got to keep that tightened down. But again, if you're a light sleeper, that type of furnace in this small of a trailer will wake you up. Another thing that is a little frustrating with this trailer is I don't have any quick disconnect for the battery. So in a previous video, I talked about the fact that if you don't disconnect the battery, there are things in the trailer like the propane leak detector, the carbon monoxide detector, the radio that will slowly drain this battery. And for us, the only way to prevent that is to actually take the cover off and disconnect the negative terminal from the battery if we're leaving the trailer for anything more than, say, a week. I would probably look at some aftermarket quick disconnects or a trailer that probably has a battery disconnect in the future, because that's a minor little irritation having to deal with that. One minor irritation, which is one thing that drives me crazy, is the potable water connection, or potable water fill, I should say, or the gravity water fill. This is on the side of the trailer where the entry door is, and this is very unusual. You've got several services on this side of the trailer. You've got your hot water tank, you've got your furnace exhaust, you've got the vents for the fridge, and then of course your fresh water fill. And 9 times out of 10, when you go to a campsite to fill up your water, if you don't have water hookups on the site, the water fill is usually on this side of the trailer. So when you pull into the fill station, or the loop of the fill station, most people are pulling in with this side of the trailer facing in, which is great. You know, your dump valves are there, so that's perfect. But it means if you go that way, you got to drag this giant hose out to be able to fill the potable water. And occasionally, if there's nobody at the fill station, I'll go in it backwards so that I can have the fill hose, if you will, nice and close to this. So that's a bit of a minor irritation. Not a big deal, because like I said, with the white water hose, you can fill that up pretty quickly. Sorry about the wind today. My goodness, it is rather breezy. This is almost a deal breaker, is the bed. This mattress that Forest River provides, the teddy bear mattresses, this is the most flimsy piece of shit foam ever. It is not a memory foam. It's probably that yellow crappy foam. Within literally a couple of trips, this thing was really uncomfortable. We bought I don't know if that's a 2-inch or a 3-inch memory foam mattress to go underneath. It's made a pretty big difference. But yeah, you really want to try and buy a trailer that has a decent mattress in it. I get that this trailer was very economical. That's probably a reason why. You can buy a mattress after the fact. But really, honestly, these teddy bear mattresses are garbage. They're very soft, they're very comfortable, but they compress very quickly. The other issue is that because of the teddy bear material, this soft, fuzzy material, if you go to a campsite that's sandy or gritty and your kids or pets or you accidentally get grit on this thing, even with a dust buster and beating the crap out of it, it can be very tough to get all the grit and dirt out of it. If you reference my breakage and failures video, this one is almost a deal breaker. This is the wall-mounted air conditioner. Even though it is mounted with a slight slant, and even though we've had this trailer leaning to a fairly decent angle, this thing does tend to cause condensation and a little bit of dripping inside if you're not careful. So I am really on the fence about this one, because this can run off of a 15 amp cord, whereas if you have a roof mount, it has to be 30 amps. So this one, I would label this as almost a deal breaker. In future, if I was to look for another travel trailer, I don't know that I would necessarily go for a wall-mounted air conditioner. For breakage or failures, the furnace. The furnace is the only real thing, other than some of the leaks with the air conditioner, that's really been a full-on failure. I have a video on my channel that details how we remedied this, but the issue was that it kept coming on all by itself and igniting. It was a wiring issue between the furnace and the thermostat. We were able to do some minor troubleshooting, and we actually fixed it. In all honesty, folks, and I don't want to jinx myself, but in the nearly 2 years that we've had this travel trailer, even though it was cheap, even though it's a stick and tin trailer, this is literally the only substantial breakage or failure that we've absolutely had, which is fantastic. This next item is, I guess you could say, maybe a failure, breakage, sort of, but also an irritation. This is our main door for the trailer. It's got a nice little pleather pad up there, so if you're walking out of the trailer and you're tall like my wife, who's like 6 feet tall, you don't smash your head or skin the top of your head. But this screen door, see if I can demonstrate this, separates from the main door. So push that out, and you've got the screen. And then you got this nice little guy here that slides across. Whoops. But you can see the problem. See how when I close it, it's not staying closed? So what's happening is two things. This little latch here, I think it's worn a little bit, because when you close it, it's supposed to grab the latch right there, and I think it's worn a little bit, so it's barely catching it. So that's an issue. I also think because it's fairly cool today, the plastic shrinks a little bit, and it only takes a little bit of pressure to disconnect that. In fact, when we were camping early in the season, it was really cold. This sucker would not stay shut at all. It was constantly swinging open. So we're going to keep an eye on that. We're going to see in the much warmer weather It's late May, and I hope better get warmer soon. How that works, because obviously this is great for light, it's great for ventilation, but also more importantly, it keeps the darn bugs out. It's not the strongest door in the world. If you have a dog who's a little bit excitable, I wouldn't recommend it, because if you notice, the screen is built so that I'm not sure what the proper term is for this stuff, but this black stuff that squeezes the screen into the frame is this side. So if you do have a dog or something that tries to push through it, that's going to probably pop out pretty easily. Some of the other screen doors out there will have like a kick plate across them. Some of the Airstream trailers will have that. Not a big deal for us. Whoops. But again, you know, look at it. See, it popped open on its own. The fact that it's not really staying shut very well, that I would say is definitely a minor irritation and bordering on a failure. So overall, despite some of my complaining and whining and I guess being kind of nitpicky, overall, I would say we absolutely love this trailer. So to answer the question, would we buy it again if we had to, you know, go back in time and do things all over again? Would we buy it? Abso-friggin-lutely. Going from a pop-up to this trailer was one of the best decisions we ever made. It is very functional. It is very comfortable. You know, you get a way better sleep in this, whether it's, you know, stinking hot outside or freezing cold. You wake up well rested. It's amazing having your own bathroom to use. It's great having a functional kitchen space that you can use. I would never go back to a pop-up. Simply because with a pop-up, it's a lot harder to set up and take it down. If it rains, you can't just put it away because it'll get moldy. If the weather's really awful in April or October, November, really a pop-up is not the greatest idea, especially with kids. Whereas a travel trailer like this, I wouldn't take it out in snow. It's not a four-season trailer, but that's as much to do with the tow vehicle as it is the trailer. But generally speaking, no, this trailer is absolutely fantastic. I've got used to towing it now. Towing it is not really a big deal. If it's very windy, it can be a little bit nerve-wracking, and with the front of the trailer being so high, and with the fact that it's got ridged aluminum, it really grabs the wind, which means the drag is pretty bad. So the vehicle doesn't struggle to pull the weight of the trailer. Where it has an issue is with the drag. Doesn't have an issue controlling the trailer if it sways or the wind hits the side of it, because with the weight distribution hitch that we have and the anti-sway system in the back of the vehicle, swaying is really not an issue. It's just the fact that there's drag and the vehicle has to work harder to pull it through the air. So you've got a little more engine noise, you've got more wear and tear on the engine, and of course your gas mileage is a lot worse because of that. But generally speaking, you know, backing it in, that's become very, very easy now. It's a single axle trailer, so single axle trailers are a little harder to reverse into a site. If you have a twin axle or a fifth wheel, far easier to reverse into a site, but this is certainly not hugely difficult. That's helped, of course, by the Blue Ox weight distribution Sway Pro hitch that we have. You don't have to disconnect the bars, the spring bars, to back it up. So that, again, makes it very, very easy. So yes, if I had to do this again in summary, would I buy this trailer? Absolutely. The price was fantastic. It was about $16,000 in 2017, which for a 22-foot travel trailer is fantastic. Yes, it's what is affectionately known as stick and tin, which means you've got to be a lot more careful with your seams and the roof and making sure that everything's maintained because you've got a wooden frame. But it's very well engineered. The build quality is fantastic. And a lot of the components, whether it's the speakers or the fridge or the thermostat or the doors, although it's a cheaper trailer, a lot of the core components are almost identical to what you would see on the higher end Forest River trailers that were built at that time. So yeah, I'm very, very impressed. No warranty work whatsoever. And everything has been incredibly functional. So we used it in the season of 2017 at the tail end of it. We used it for the entire 2018 camping season, and now we've been using it for 3 trips for 2019, and it's been fantastic. If we were going to upgrade to something else, what would we do? I think for sure I would go for a slightly bigger trailer, if I had the money, let's say, if money was no option. Salem Cruise Lite makes a 27-foot trailer, which is fantastic. In that 27-foot trailer, it has a slide out, which makes a big difference. So the booth dinette that I'm sitting at now actually becomes a U-shaped dinette, which gives you way more space, and it's in the slide out. That's fantastic. The other thing about that 27-foot trailer is it has a couch. I like to, of an evening, sometimes come in for a little while and read a book, especially if it's the fall or early spring. And the dinette where I'm sitting now, it's fairly comfortable, but I feel if I had a couch, I'd really be able to relax. Obviously, they're not going to put a couch in a 22-foot trailer. Let's be realistic. But yeah, a couch I think would be nice. Other things that I would want in a future trailer would be a ladder built onto the unit so you can walk onto the roof. At 10 feet tall, you need a pretty substantial step ladder to get up on this roof. And I don't have one, so we have to go to my in-laws to borrow their ladder all the time. Whereas if it had a ladder bolted onto the back that you could climb up, that would be fantastic. I don't know what that was all about. Sorry. I know you can buy them aftermarket and have them installed, but I don't know how I feel about that, and I don't want to damage the trailer or put holes in it and cause a leak or any structural problems. So yeah, I think having a ladder on the back would be something I would look for. The downside, of course, is if you're going to get a bigger trailer like that, you have to consider your tow vehicle. You definitely want to be using at least a half-ton pickup truck if you're going to be going to anything that's around 27 feet long. This trailer has a dry weight of about 2,800 pounds or so, but anything like that, you're getting into the 7,000 to 8,000 pound range. So you got to make sure that you got enough vehicle to be able to pull it safely. So really, the only big difference between what we would like in the future and this one is a slide out that would have a bigger dinette, a U-shaped dinette, so you can entertain more people inside. We would definitely want to have a slide out, so you've got a little bit more floor space in here. And then the ladder for the roof, that's really it. You know, for us, I've said this in many other videos, the camping experience is not about being in the trailer. The camping experience is about being out by the campfire, hiking on trails, going fishing, going canoeing, going swimming, sightseeing. The trailer is a base of operations, but you sleep in it. And in the fall and in the very early spring season, you rely on it for your comfort and safety quite a bit. So just a few small little things that we would like to have in a future trailer. Don't know that I'd go to a fifth wheel. Fifth wheels, you know, are really, there are some that are geared for families, but they seem to have a lot of wasted space in them. And they are a palace on wheels, and I just would feel a little weird about going camping every weekend and bringing this ginormous fifth wheel with me. I'm sure some people sitting in tents probably look at us coming in with this trailer and probably feel the same way, so it's all a matter of perspective. Anyway, we'll wrap things up. I hope you are getting a chance to get out there and enjoy the 2019 camping season. If this is your first time visiting my channel, please go ahead and subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. We'll talk to you later.